Hey guys, we are officially back down in Florida. We went up to Northern Illinois over this past weekend, got a new car, I got to do some bow hunting, we visited some family. But while I was up there, I heard some things while I was hunting, learned about some new stuff, and really wanted to make a video because it was so similar to all the stuff that we're going through now in like the bass fishing industry and everything. So initially we're pretty much we all hunted all public land, which is something that I've done for a long time. Over the past few years, I haven't done a lot of bow hunting because if you keep up with the channel, I'm a travel nurse. I'm usually out of the state during bow season, and I just fish where I'm at. So I go up there, and they do this kind of the same thing, all public land. We go out, and the first things that I hear about are this app called OnX, which I'd heard about it before, didn't quite realize the impact and everything that it was going to have on hunting, but kind of the same thing you hear about like fishing and stuff. It sounds great until you hear about all the side effects of it. So, what the big complaint was up there, which was it's kind of the really delayed if you compare it to fishing, in terms of what they're dealing with. But there's these guys that they have this huge complaint about. Everybody now knows about all these public land spots, which if you're not familiar with the app, it literally is like it's like a Google Earth, you know, plat map of all the public lands and everything. You can find who owns what's public really easily. And which I'm from Southern Illinois, there's just tons and tons and tons of public land down there. We were in Northern Illinois over the weekend, but kind of the same story up there. There's quite a bit, and if you can find out about all these little sneaky spots and kind of keep them to yourself, but when it's you know so easy to do it, you don't have to put in the legwork anymore. All these people that don't have to spend the time, it's super easy to do it. And the guys that have put in the legwork now go out to their spot and there's somebody sitting on it, 5 trucks at every pull in and stuff like that. And it, I'm sure, is similar to when GPS got map chips, when all of a sudden you could see that this point went out this far, that the lay of the land under the water and everything, the stuff that used to you had to really do your homework to figure out. And now anybody can just download the app, walk out there, and it's all laid out for them. And then to kind of further get into that, the another complaint that the guys had up there were the in Illinois recently they allow people to use crossbows now, which they didn't in the past. Which I'm sure plenty of other states have already dealt with this. Illinois is kind of back on moving forward with stuff like that. There's some states allow baiting, everything like that. Illinois is uh, more strict on all of their laws like that. But now they allow crossbows. But then you hear guys talking about the more deer getting killed out here because of that. They're not seeing as many deer out here because all the pressure, all the guys out here with crossbows that don't have to be quiet and silent on the ground, and and try to keep the deer from seeing them because it's like a shotgun. I mean, if the deer's 30 yards away, as long as you can slip it up there and shoot them, you're good. But all of these things sound like live scope, map chips, all these things that technology are hurting bass, deer populations, things like that. I feel like just across the board we're just doomed to destroy hunting and fishing. It's like on both sides of things, we keep making all these innovations and everything, and the deer can't do anything more. The fish can't do anything more. What's next? What are we going to do next? And I feel like everybody's said this over and over and over again, but it's just yet again, you run in to go do something, the old thing like you do bow hunt and everything, and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the how technology's ruining things, and I mean we're the ones using it, but I don't know how we stop it other than states finally starting to outlaw things like this. I think that's the only way to really stop doing it. I don't know if we've really maybe yet reached the point where we'll eventually ruin it for good. I think that we're definitely to the point where we're starting to make real impacts on things, and if we continue much farther, I don't see how we can't start seeing some very, very real impacts. Something I also heard up there, I guess in Illinois, which we have a pretty high deer population there, and they've had problems with deer with disease and stuff like that. But the Illinois Conservation, I guess, have things called sharpshooters, from what I heard, that go out and I guess they go out at night. This is all hearsay stuff that people told me, but I heard it from multiple people that go out and will thin out the herd. They'll go out at night with night vision and kill as many deer, and they'll do it on public lands too. So one of the spots that we went to, I heard that some guys were like, "Don't go to that unit." The Illinois Conservation did a deer cull. I think that's what they call it, deer cull, I believe. And they went out and shot a bunch of deer there. We hunted there all week and didn't see one. And then we went to this other unit. Oh, sorry, I was kind of skipped a part. So with the deer cull thing, I couldn't help but think about how the conservation and all the places that you go spray the grass everywhere. So it's like something that's supposed to be good for the populations, but they like that they're doing it on a public land. It's like, do you know for a fact that the population is too dense there, or are you just choosing random spots? It's like, I don't know a whole lot into it, but I do know that on the fishing side they seem to really screw up a lot with doing things, for the for when they do things wrong, you always hear about it from the guys that are really out there all the time. And I feel like that the people that do know really well are fishermen and hunters. We spend a lot of time in the woods and on the water, and we know when there's a bad impact on something. And I heard from a lot of guys that this deer culling is a bad impact. I can't say for sure that there wasn't a lot of disease on this public area, but I do know from hunting a lot of public lands that I'm not quite sure that's where the high density of deer and disease is. Maybe they just can't do it, go out on somebody's farm and do it, but I feel like it's a bad approach, because all the public lands that I've hunted in most places, they do get some pressure. They do have more hunting on them. The farms and stuff like that, the guys can only, kill so many with how many people they let on the farm. But a lot of those public lands have quite a few deer killed on them. So it kind of sounded like the same thing you hear about them killing grass on lakes that affects the populations of fish and affects the fishing. That it was one of those things that even you have the DNR that seems like they're kind of hurting things on top of all the technology's impact. So I just, all in all, you always get the vibe when you go out, which you're always going to hear the bad side of things, from people in those situations. But man, it just seems like we are not doing well with conserving things. We keep doing all these things over and over and over that impact the wrong direction. I feel like eventually we've got to put a stop to something to preserve what we got, because I feel like once we really start to see what we're doing wrong, we might be way past the point of a long recovery. But anyway, just wanted to make a video about it. Thought it was eerily similar to a lot of the things you hear about how we and the DNR and stuff in areas are affecting things. I feel like it's things that we use. We have the option to not use it, but everybody's still using it, and everybody's still complaining about everybody using it. So I don't know, my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear if anybody else has heard similar things and has any similar experiences. But thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you on the next one.